everybody! This is Jpar of the We Promise Nothing show.
And this is Myles.
This is Zub.
I think Da Boo's here too.
I think so, and I think we're gonna review X-Men Apocalypse. That's right. We got a spoiler version for you, and we got a non-spoiler version for you. First, we're gonna go over just our first impressions of the movie, give it a rating, and then we flip over into spoiler town. X-Men Apocalypse. This one's rated PG-13, released by Fox and directed by Bryan Singer. It stars James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, Jennifer Lawrence, Nicholas Hoult, Oscar Isaac, Olivia Munn, Sophie Turner, and many more. And it's... Well, what do I say about this movie?
Do you need a moment there?
I might need a moment. I don't even want to start. Zub, why don't you tell me what you think of X-Men Apocalypse?
Well, okay.
Now he's turning in... Okay, wait, you're gold blooming. Relax.
Well, the sun's in my eyes. I got the shades already. So, X-Men Apocalypse.
Life will find a way.
Exactly.
And just like Life and X-Men, they find a way to make another movie out of this franchise. So what do you think of that?
Well, without saying anything, spoiler-wise, basically, he definitely made good. He made up for a lot of previous mistakes with his X-Men movies. And, in short...
Such as?
Oh, you want me to go into
Well, no,
detail?
you don't have to go into that much detail.
Well, okay, basically, there's a nice,
okay, so let's just say you like it better.
There's a nice line in there referencing the previous trilogy, and it made up. That was one of the best parts of the movie. Just that one section.
Just that joke. We'll get into that in the spoiler time when we talk about that some more. But you're saying you liked it better than previous versions. Very good. First impression, Boo.
You know what? I got mixed feelings myself. I did enjoy the movie. I can't deny that. I just feel like there were some moments that could have needed a little bit more. I don't know. There was just something missing. That's part of the reason why I have a hard time, thinking back on this movie. It had a lot of beautiful moments, a lot of great moments too, action-wise, I might add, which I'm not going to go into detail yet. But in terms of the character development, there's a lot of areas where it was a big hit and miss. I feel like this was, again, a reintroduction to some of the characters we had seen in previous movies. They certainly are not the same versions. I don't mind the direction they're bringing this. I really don't. But I feel like the execution this time around just didn't quite hit it the way I thought it would. But yeah, it was a really good movie, though. Action-wise, I'm going to say that's what probably saved it.
All right. I know when I watched this, I was a bit trepidatious, as I am with every X-Men movie I go and see, because, let's be honest, in my opinion, I don't think X-Men movies are really done well. Or I didn't really like the first one. I'm not even a fan that much of the original trilogy. I'm just a fan of it just because it's X-Men. You know what I mean? But if it wasn't for X-Men, I wouldn't give a shit about those movies. But like you said, Zub, I like this one better than the previous editions I've seen. I like a lot better than a lot of previous X-Men movies I've seen. I didn't expect much of it because I was hearing some heat about it being a bad movie. But you know what? It's better that I didn't expect much because I think I became pleased of the end result. What's your first impression, Myles?
I am like the Boo. I have mixed feelings about it. It was good. Good action, really good choreography, really good special effects. The action right off the hop is pretty amazing. But I found there wasn't enough character development, and there was a lot of hollow people that could have cut right out of the movie. You wouldn't even know.
Jubilee. Sorry.
Man, you really hate Jubilee, don't you?
Yeah. But I really like the nods.
Spoiler alert, Zub hates Jubilee.
Yeah. There was some really good nods to X-Men 92 in there, and like
that
Zub,
I will agree with.
And like Zub was saying there, it's like they took a page out of Deadpool's book and they made fun of themselves. And just one particular moment, and everybody in the theater was laughing because they got it, and I thought that was pretty cool. I feel like Deadpool opened the door for this movie a little bit.
It did. I feel like it did too. I feel like Fox is starting to listen to the fans more now. And like now that I've seen Deadpool, I've seen this, and I've seen Days of Future Past, I really believe they're starting to just listen to what the fans are saying, and they're starting to move these X-Men movies in I like the direction it's moving in. For the first time, I'm very excited about the future of these X-Men movies.
Me too. But should we get into the spoiler stuff in a bit, or should we rate it?
Well, we are going to have to give it a rating, so why don't we start with Zub, since I started with you. You could give me a rating, and then you can tell me why it deserves that rating without getting into spoilers once again.
Okay, I'll keep it short. 4 out of 5, and the reason I think it's basically the second best.
You're saying it's a 4?
4 out of 5.
Yep. Okay.
And I don't know if anyone considered around the table here if we consider Deadpool an X-Men movie, because
Yes.
there's been talk about that. Okay, so it's the second best X-Men movie.
Okay. So the first best with the X-Men team in it, but as an X-Men franchise, it's your second favorite after Deadpool.
Right.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really hard to put a number to this one, I feel like. I'll say this, because it is a movie that I was, enjoying from beginning to end. I really had very few moments where I'd have to pick at it too often, but because there are more than I had thought, I don't know, maybe 3.5 out of 5. I'm not saying it's going to be a harsh number, but it's not deserving of something more like a 4 out of 5. That's my opinion, anyway.
Okay. I am also going to give it a 4 like Zub. And I even probably rank it... I had a hard time. I went back and forth when I thought about it after I saw the movie. I went back to a 4.5 to a 4 because I really enjoyed it. I felt for the first time they really captured like the X-Men right. Like I felt like there was an X-Men battle happening. It was like almost like watching the cartoon in some ways. And the throwbacks to the 90s I really liked. Just there's certain little things which I'll get into in the spoilers what the throwbacks are, but just nice little things to show that, hey, this is happening. Did I say 90s or 80s? Sorry.
90s.
It did happen in the 80s, though. It was 83 that it took place. So there's a lot of 80s throwbacks, not 90s throwbacks. 90s throwbacks to the X-Men comics, but 80s throwbacks because that's the time that this set takes place. But, yeah, so I enjoyed all that. It really... built on the lore of the X-Men. It felt more X-Men to me than some of the previous incarnations. So I'm gonna go with my 4.
And I'm going to give it a 3.5.
This is pretty even up numbers here.
I was going to give it a 3, but there's one character in particular that just sailed away with the movie and just took it to a whole new level. Made me forget a lot of things that happened before and a little bit after. So
Could we all agree on the same character here is what you're about
I
to
don't know if
mention?
we're allowed to.
We're not going to get into that just yet. We're so close.
Good point.
Okay, all right. So 3.5.
Calm down, Boo. Calm down. I know you're excited. All right, so we have a 4. We have a 3.5 from Boo. We have a 4 from me. We have another 3.5 from Myles. So guess what? Not as bad as Rotten Tomatoes makes it out to be. They make it sound like it was a franchise killer, that it was so awful. Like, get out of town. This movie is enjoyable to watch. So just go out and enjoy it. You should be going out and enjoying these superhero movies. Stop sitting back and trying to nitpick at everyone. Just because I criticize Batman vs. Superman doesn't mean everyone's got to go out and start nitpicking all these other movies. Or just because everyone shat on Batman vs. Superman doesn't mean you got to go out and pick on that movie. I mean, make your own decisions. Go and see these superhero movies and enjoy them.
No, that's
You guys
a good
agree?
point. I agree, yeah.
Yeah, basically, if there's any type of superhero movie, okay, aside from Fantastic Four, because
Except for Fantastic Four.
buyer beware with that franchise, but everything else, just go see it first before you read anything on Rotten Tomatoes, because it really doesn't seem very trustworthy anymore. With when it comes to superhero movies, at least, it's way off base. Because from what Jay saw, probably the same article I saw. I don't know if everyone else saw the same article, but basically, it was like the second lowest rating next to X-Men Last Stand, and also X-Men Origins Wolverine.
Come on, you can't even compare. Like Last Stand and those Wolverine movies are so bad. That's way off base. This movie is good. I would give freaking Wolverine movies a 2.5 on this. The only reason he gets that, even gets a 2.5 is because it is an X-Men movie.
Well, it's because it's Wolverine.
And because it's Wolverine. If it wasn't for that, then it would be way down lower on the list. He'd be sitting down there with Superman 2.
Whoa.
That's a deep cut.
Superman 4 is the worst. Come on, get it right. Crush for peace, okay?
Alright, so that's the end of our non-spoiler review. Stay tuned or click on the link in the right-hand corner if you want to hear the spoiler version.
Go for it.
Flipping over into Spoiler Town. Now this is where we get to start talking about some of the things in the movies in X-Men Apocalypse. So I really hope if you haven't seen the movie yet or you don't want to know about spoilers, this is the time to turn it off or switch to another one of our great videos that we have provided for you. Then guess what? Go see the movie and then come back and listen to us because you love us. All right, so what? You don't think they love us, Boo?
I don't know. That's always questionable.
Spoilers. Okay, so right off the hop, you're saying they made a little inside meta joke there, Zub. You're saying how this takes place in 1983.
Right.
And they walk out of what movie?
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. Still owned by Fox, I will mention. But obviously the whole Star Wars franchise is owned by Disney.
Right.
But Fox still has distribution rights to those movies.
So yeah, they're allowed to mention it.
Oh yeah, well, not like Disney would sue them anyways for advertising one of their own product.
Yeah, I don't know the exact line anymore because it's not as fresh. Myles can help me out with that, but basically...
Okay, so they're coming out of the theater and
right.
Jubilee, I think Jubilee says...
Empire Strikes
She
Back.
she says Empire Strikes Back. No, she doesn't even say Empire Strikes Back because they leave it very ambiguous. It's like, oh, are they talking about the Star Wars movies or are they talking about the X-Men movies? Because she's the second one is way better. It ends on a downfall, because what they always say about Empire, it's not like a perfect ending and and all that. And then Scott Summers, Cyclops, obviously, he says.
Talking about the first one, right?
Yeah, he's like, but the other two one never came out. If the first one never came out, and then I think it's Gene that says, well, we can all agree that the third one's the worst. And we're like, wait, are we talking about Star Wars or are we talking about X-Men 3? Are you taking a jab at Brett Ratner there, Bryan Singer? Is that what you're doing? Also, what I found funny, he rips on Brett Ratner's X-Men 3, but where's fucking Bryan Singer for X-Men 3? He turned down X-Men 3 to go make your precious Superman Returns movie, which was also an awful Superman movie.
Exactly. So you can't trust Bryan Singer all the time, right? That's basically a lesson learned for both studios right there. Because, Bryan Singer hasn't made exactly great X-Men movies even after X-Men 3. So, but anyways, yeah, like that whole movie theater scene was purposely set just to kind of two purposes, right? Like to maybe have a shot towards Brett Ratner and also like a Deadpool scene as well, like almost a fourth wall.
Yeah. Well, that's what Myles was saying. It's almost like a Deadpool idea where they make like a meta joke, a fourth wall kind of joke. They didn't really do a fourth wall breaking joke because they were talking about Star Wars, but they did it in such a way. You're like, yeah, we're talking about the X-Men movies right now.
But they're also like at the same time, are they also poking fun at themselves?
Because this is technically the third in this trilogy of the X-Men movies, right?
So
they're very aware. It's like, all right, this one could bomb too. We don't know. But at least if we make a joke about it, you'll forgive us, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of forgiveness, did you guys get the... Well, okay, I know you two were with me. You saw that message with the actress who played Storm, which is Alexandra Shipp, and it's almost like they're kind of apologizing for the movie before we watched it.
Yeah,
I wasn't really paying attention. I didn't really care. I know what you're talking about. I've seen it too, but I don't know what the underlying message was that she's trying to say.
She was just like, yeah, go, enjoy movies. A lot of hard people worked on this movie. We enjoyed making it, so I hope you enjoy the movie. It was just like... some sort of little love letter to the fans. Like, please don't hate on the movie.
I think it's a movie studio PSA saying not pirate this movie because all these jobs depend on it.
Oh, okay. Could be that way, too.
That could be one way of saying it. I kind of feel like a lot of these actors, especially them being a young new crew, brought into this X-Men universe. So I will admit, in their career point of view, that it makes sense. They're going to thank the crowd for coming in to watch the movie that they made. It's hard work. We all acknowledge that.
Yeah.
I just kind of feel like because it wasn't outright said as an apology, it made it more blatantly obvious that it might have been taken as an apology because it was almost like you were saying, because everyone admitted it before the movie even started. All I could hear was, "Oh, look, they're apologizing already." How many times I heard that in the background? So, in my opinion, I love the fact that as the young actress shows herself as herself before the movie, right? Before we see her as Storm. She's a completely different person as that character. That's what
we'll get into that in a second about how great she was. Or not so great if they disagree with me. And Alexandra Shipp, she did do a good job with Storm. But I just found that very weird. I did, because you don't see that before many movies where they do like this little love letter to the fans, like, oh, please don't shit on the movie. I don't know. That's what it felt like to me. Maybe that's not what it was. Maybe it was a pirating thing.
Yeah.
But let's get into more details about the movie. Let's not worry about these Hollywood PSAs. All right, so after they go see, I gotta say, the beginning of this movie, this is why I could have given it a 0.5, but it definitely had a slow start, I will say. I didn't mind it. I didn't mind the slow progression because it was going somewhere. But I really did find like the first hour was kind of a bit, not first hour, but at least 45 minutes. Maybe it was a bit slow. What'd you guys think?
Well, I think the fact that they tried to take on Apocalypse in a movie in the first place was very ambitious. Mm-hmm. And it was a 2.5-hour runtime. And I still feel like there was so much they could have talked about at the beginning even. They have him on these high technology beds.
Yes.
And you don't
where
know
he transfers
where it
the
came
mutant's
from.
powers.
Yeah, it was very ambiguous on where it came from in the first place and how he gave the powers to his 4 horsemen that were with him. And it was, where they...
So let's explain Apocalypse. He's this Egyptian mutant from a long time ago who sees himself as a god because there was no one else like him in his time, and he finds a way to basically keep. He takes other mutants' powers. Is that what I was figuring out? And also going into their bodies as well, taking over their bodies so he can continue to be immortal, almost in a weird Vandal Savage kind of way.
Yeah, he transfers his consciousness to a new host when his body is done for.
So it's just layer upon layer upon layer of abilities that he,
but then
accumulates over time. Right?
There lies another question. We're in 3500 BC. How many times did he do that before? You don't really get the origin of Apocalypse in the beginning, which is really weird. You just hop in halfway through. It's like, okay, here's Apocalypse. This is what he's doing right now. But you don't know what he did beforehand. So that was kind of weird to me. I don't know if you guys...
Yeah, it almost
felt like it was
I figured that's where it started for him. Like, he was born during that time, and that's where it started. Like, there was no record of him before that.
Well, remember, like, the original in the movie Apocalypse was actually introduced at the end of Days of Future Past in the end credits scene, right? Where I don't think it was probably the same actor, or it might have been the actor in a younger stage of his life, where he was actually creating the pyramids at that time, and maybe that's where he did.
I forgot all about that end credit scene at the end of Days of Future Past.
Yeah, thank you Netflix for that, for having Days of Future Past on there.
Yeah, because I totally forgot about that.
So yeah, that's the only time I really I needed to see if there's an end credit scene in that, just to make sure I was prepared for Apocalypse. And so it was basically, I think it was the same actor, just or the same character of Apocalypse, just got older at the beginning of this movie. And then he's transferring his consciousness over. But yeah, you're right. I don't think they actually really explained that part of it. They explained the pyramids, but they never explained what's inside, how to regenerate, how you start that whole regeneration. I don't know if they're going to explore that in the next one, because,
So we're introduced to this Apocalypse character. He's a pharaoh. He thinks he's a god. He's comes back into the 80s, 1983. He starts seeing the change that man has made. And he almost has an ideology of Magneto where he thinks mutants are supreme. We have the introduction of many other great familiar characters. Michael Fassbender is back as Magneto, who has a very heart-crushing story in this one. Do you want to elaborate, Myles?
Sure. That's my other gripe with the movie, is they only give character development to 3, maybe 4 characters. So Magneto, you get why he turns bad, why Apocalypse looks for him. Apocalypse is looking for people that are in despair, are looking for a major change, who don't like the world they live in. So Magneto, he meets him at the perfect time, because Magneto... Should we talk about that part?
Talk about what?
Magneto's family?
Well, that's
His
what I was
new
asking
family?
you about.
Okay, well, that's a major spoiler.
Well, we are going into spoilers. That's what they're listening
boy.
for.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, well...
his family's dead.
Spoiler!
Spoiler!
We did say spoiler, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Magneto saves somebody's life. He works at a metal fabrication shop, ironically.
Yeah.
The master of metal, or magnetism. He saves somebody's life, and it ends up killing his family, because the people there, they don't understand him. They don't understand his powers. They send the cops. The cops accidentally kill the wife and child.
Of all things, can we admit to the fact that she got killed and the child with a bow and arrow?
Yeah, because they didn't want to bring any metal to go against
So
Magneto.
I thought that was just how ironic that the guy who fired or misfired the bow and arrow. Like, how the hell does someone misfire a bow and arrow? I can't.
You're gonna tell me that there was no metal on the tip of the arrow that he couldn't?
You can have
that's a good
rock.
point.
Yeah,
you
no,
can
you
have
can have a
some-
rock.
yeah,
You're
can have
right, it
arrow.
could.
Or
But
a really sharp
did
plastic.
not Apocalypse show him? But I guess he did not know he could control rocks and all that shit before that. Because Apocalypse was like, hey, you're the master of magnetism. There's like metals and rocks. Why aren't you moving this shit around?
And that's, I think that's, I don't know if that's a major gripe around the table here of the movie as well, because you know that thing, well, it's pretty cool. Where, like, all these minerals and metals are in the ground, and you can control it.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's
then
kinda
at the
weird,
end of the
I will
movie,
admit.
At the end, it gets kind of sketchy.
Yeah, I know that. That's another part we'll get into a
Right.
little bit later. Obviously, Magneto losing the family that he does. He loses it, kills all those cops and everyone who came to take him away. He was even just going to hand himself over to them, just leave my wife and child alone. And that one idiot lets the fucking arrow go, and then
Which
they're
pisses
dead.
Well, what did he sneeze again? Like, I know he's like all gape.
I forget what caused him to. just
Oh,
suddenly
because they found that the little girl had powers, and she started
Oh.
controlling the animals.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Not yet.
No,
She
they
didn't
ha-
start controlling the animals in.
And then they're like,
you're
stop,
right,
stop,
you're
stop
right.
it.
Yeah,
It's
the
like she
bird
doesn't
right
know
in
what
front.
she's doing. She's young.
Yeah.
She doesn't know what she's doing.
And it's actually like almost a throwback to X-Men 1, where Magneto was like just like upset about his parents being torn away from him, and she was doing the same thing. She was getting so upset by Magneto being torn away from her that she was just losing her control of her own powers. Which is actually, I just thought of this now. It's actually a
Yeah,
really cool.
that's
tie-in.
actually a very good. Yeah, that's the good observation.
Yeah, throw back to that observation. It makes sense.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's like. So of course Magneto's in despair, and Storm. We actually get to see her as a thief, and we see her like stealing. She's using her powers to steal stuff, and Apocalypse finds her like this. And can we talk about the actress and what you think of Storm? I actually personally like her a lot. I hated Halle Berry. I found she never got the character right. At least she has the accent and she's got the cool ass mohawk, and she's just badass. She's a lot more badass than Halle Berry. Like, Halle Berry can't act. I'm sorry.
But they needed to give her more screen time and more reason to be bad. Like, why is she going with Apocalypse? Because right off the bat,
You're right.
She likes Mystique.
There is a
She
lot
says
of
that. She's like, I like
Yep.
her. She's a freedom fighter. I want to represent mutants. I want to be with her.
Yeah.
And then Apocalypse is like, don't worry about it. We'll just be bad together. And then she's along with it.
No. There's something that Apocalypse said. He said something in Egyptian, or not even Egyptian. I think it was his own language. And then it was translated, we will, what did he say? We'll set them, we will crush them, or, and then when he translates to
Free
English,
them.
we'll
Yeah,
free them.
Yeah.
And it's like, then she's like, oh, okay, he's a good guy then.
Yeah, we'll just
Yeah,
freedom,
he did
Yeah.
trick her. I kind of
Yeah.
feel like that's part of the reasons why, like you say, there's not enough development in that character to I get the understanding of why she had flipped.
Also-
but it's hard to catch. That's
But
the
he
whole
kills
point.
everybody
Also-
in front of Storm.
Yeah, but
That's the way I
Storm is
took it.
witnessing all this death and destruction in minutes.
But once again, she thinks it's for like mutant rights and stuff like that. So
I don't know.
if you're a freedom fighter, sometimes there is some blood spilled.
Here's
That
how
to me went against the grain of her character.
But once again, does not Apocalypse at least control mutants a little bit? He has some level of mind control.
He has telepathy, but he never uses it. It's always free will. People come to Apocalypse for a reason, either despair or revenge or more power, pride,
In which he does. He elevates all their powers.
and he elevates all their powers to a new level.
And didn't he also kind of manipulate her, like when he touched her?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he touched her
Yeah.
and she changed. Her hair
Yeah,
turned
yeah,
white and...
Because she felt like something got taken over on her. Like she kind of like maybe he penetrated her mind. somehow.
Penetrated her? Well, no, it wasn't one of those kind of movies.
We have penetration, folks.
I used the P word. The other P word. Okay, so but you know, like she did gasp at the time when he was melding with her, or making her hair white.
So she was penetrated.
That's what I'm saying.
Emotionally.
So you're saying there was a mind
Emo-
control of some level.
Exactly.
Okay, so now let's get to the other horseman that he chooses. Angel, who is now Archangel, or he turns into Archangel, who's he's kind of he's in this spot, he's in a familiar spot where he's like cage fighting like Wolverine was in the first one, and he ends up fighting Nightcrawler. he was a cool character too. I was happy to see him. And just briefly to touch on that, Mystique gets Nightcrawler out of there, which is something that was a throwback to the comics because Mystique does have a close relationship with Nightcrawler. So that was also nice to see. Angel is again saw later when Apocalypse approaches him, and he's listening to Metallica, Four Horsemen, which is even more appropriate. I thought that was awesome. He gets his metal wings. He's listening to heavy metal. That was such an awesome Archangel scene, even though we didn't do much else in the movie. And lastly, Psylocke, which is played by Olivia Munn. And she has her psionic swords and whips and starts kicking everybody's ass. Also, a brief appearance by Caliban.
I wasn't a fan of Psylocke.
You were not?
No, again, it was a hollow character. You could have cut her out. No one said what her powers were. If you didn't know going in, you wouldn't know what the hell she was doing.
She was my biggest disappointment.
And
personally.
why was she bad? Why was she this
That's-
badass?
that
And why
they did
was
not
she with
elaborate on.
Apocalypse? No, they didn't touch on that at all.
And that's
my
another
biggest
reason
gripe.
why I didn't give it like the extra 0.5, because I felt like there was certain characters that could have been pushed more, and they didn't really elaborate on too much.
To me, if you're going to have the Four Horsemen of Apocalypse, they should have each had enough screen time to show why they're there, and I felt like she was the weakest link. She was just the eye candy, basically. Everyone went to see her to see what she looked like in her outfit.
That's why they didn't have to give her... Did she even have any lines?
She did.
She did.
Okay, I don't remember her even talking, to be honest.
There you go. There you go. Forgettable.
Well, not her action scenes, though. I liked her action scenes.
She had
Except
cool
for
action scenes.
that one weird part. But we'll get into that in a bit.
Yeah.
Before we get there, we can see why the Horsemen didn't get that much development, because, wow, there is a lot of X-Men characters in this. We got Havoc, we got Quicksilver is back, and everyone loved Quicksilver, so he needs time on the screen. Zubert's favorite, Jubilee, was in it. Cyclops, a new Cyclops was in it, and Zubert is rolling his eyes. So there is so many characters. Stryker comes back. Like, how many X-Men characters can we jam into one movie? Whew. Could be very oversaturated. Maybe it didn't get a higher rating because of that, but I still liked seeing all these characters. And I actually liked it. I thought it was closer to the cartoon than a lot of the other ones were.
I don't know. I felt like it had an Age of Ultron problem where they had too many characters and they didn't know how to develop them properly.
But it was a better movie than Age of Ultron.
It was a better movie. It was handled better, but there was so much. There was so much they could have done because we know that Deadpool, which is in the Fox X-Men universe, is going to have Cable.
Yes.
Right.
Who is Apocalypse's one of his greatest enemies throughout all time, literally.
Literally.
Is Cable.
Yep.
So what they could have done, and they didn't, spoiler alert, is have some sort of Cable, anything, right at the beginning, in the middle, at the end, something.
Even the post credits.
That wasn't Cable, that was Mr. Sinister.
Oh, whoa. Just kidding. We're in the spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
We weren't going to talk about the ending yet. Come on.
And that was X-23 that they're...
Anyways, we'll get into that a little bit later,
clone
too.
Of,
Yeah. Maybe we should have
Alright, so Quicksilver shows up, saves everyone's ass again in an awesome slow motion for everyone, super fast for him.
Literally saved everyone's ass except for one guy, but I guess he wasn't savable, right? Because he was so close to the blast.
Where's
that
Havoc?
was-
Where's
that
Havoc?
was weird, too.
That
What a
was-
weird way
Havoc
to
just
die.
disappeared.
Yeah, he just
Yeah,
disappeared.
He's not dead.
I hope not.
He's not. I think they're going to get more... I don't know if they will. I think they'll get more into the Summers, the Cyclops, like the Summers bloodline and
I'm just
storyline
glad
and
they're
all that.
brothers. I
Yeah.
was really
Yeah.
worried
Yes,
that
I
his
know.
age, he was going to be his dad or something.
I know,
Like,
I was
oh,
worried
no.
too. It was
So
gonna be
I'm
something
glad they're
weird.
brothers.
Yes.
That was cool. Good.
They actually seem to be making a lot of good calls now. Really closer to the comics and the real stories now. Like I said, a lot more. Jean Grey is in this, played by Sophie Turner. How do you mention that? She's a huge part of this movie. What'd you guys think of Sophie Turner as Jean Grey?
I liked it.
Well, I liked her too. I was afraid that maybe she was gonna be a lesser character just because it seemed like in the trailer she didn't get that much screen time, and I was thinking that maybe like the whole Cyclops and Jean Grey would be left for the next movie type of thing, where they're trying to do like another reboot of like from the 80s to the 90s up until X-Men 1, like kind of
I feel
prequel. So this was actually a nice surprise for me.
I almost feel like this is gonna, even though this is supposed to be like the part 3 of, I guess, what's supposed to be First Class, I almost feel like this is a part 1 of what's gonna be like an Apocalypse trilogy.
Alright, so you're saying that Apocalypse will return?
Seems pretty dead.
I think so. I'm not saying for sure, but this is just from what I've seen, gathering from the post-end credits and all that, and seeing the direction it could be going in. And actually, I wouldn't mind it. I mean, if Mr. Sinister, as we said, is connected to the end scene,
Yeah.
like works for Apocalypse.
And there lies another problem.
Well, that's that
They
will be a
ruined that
follow-up.
continuity right there. So Mr. Sinister gets his powers from Apocalypse in the past,
Yeah, but
becomes immortal.
Apocalypse probably isn't dead.
Well, Apocalypse was asleep for 5,000 years. They kind of got rid of so many different
Yeah, so you
things.
can't
Like,
explain
they fucked that
Mr.
up bad.
Who says they couldn't just show up in the next movie and give them those powers?
I guess, but
I-
I don't know. Phoenix, Dark Phoenix, spoiler alert, made short work of Apocalypse. There.
Yeah, which
Right
we're gonna
down
get
to the
into
bone, like
in
to the
very
molecule.
soon. Yeah.
I think
Okay, so are we far enough into this? We can jump into the last battle now, or there's something else we want to mention before we get there?
Anyway, so yeah, I'm good.
We did miss something. Mr. Hugh Jackman makes an appearance in
Oh
this.
yeah,
As
the
And
cameo,
slices
cameo.
the shit out of some
Everyone.
guys. And
Everyone.
there was blood! God! There was blood!
So
I was so happy about that.
yeah, so explain to me why Deadpool was R-rated and this wasn't R-rated.
Because
They
there's
didn't
very
show
minimal
penetration.
Aha!
They didn't show his claws.
There's that
penetrating.
P word again.
They didn't show the penetration, so you saw that he was going in for his slice, but they didn't show the slice. And then they'd show they'd show the blood on the wall. That's how they got away with that. They're
Yeah, it was
sneaky.
very clever camera work. They
sneaky,
used
yeah.
very little blood too. They didn't show it on the guys or on his claws.
It would be on a wall.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
it
but
would
they
be
still showed the
somewhere.
blood, and they
Yeah.
still showed that he made a bloody mess out of those fuckers.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Which was great to watch. Gene releases him, and you knew right away as soon as they got into that one place, they're like, "Oh, what's in there? Oh, it sounds like an animal of some kind." You're like, "Oh, Wolverine!"
Yeah.
And then they even tied in a little like why Wolverine might be infatuated with Jean Grey because she kind of set his mind free, right?
Right, and that's from the original X-Men movie again. Not from Origins, but the actual X-Men first movie. Because he had those flashbacks in the first movie about Stryker and the compound. And I think that's what that whole scene was at the end where she released him and then he just ran off in the wilderness.
Okay.
Definitely tied into the Stryker story, you're right.
Yeah.
And it definitely tied into their relationship, which is important in the X-Men story.
Now you really have to look at this movie as being a retcon of the first three, though, because in the first movie, Jean Grey doesn't know, and Xavier doesn't know him.
Right.
They're looking at him like he could be older than you. His healing factor is so crazy.
Mhm. It could be, they could
So
have just
they-
forgot about him too, though.
How do you forget about a guy that
Yeah.
just killed everyone?
Yeah,
With,
it's
with claws!
Yeah.
With adamantium claws!
saved their lives like
and
twice.
saved their lives. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So,
Alright. Yeah, it is very true. They are very much saying that the first three movies do not
This is a
exist
new
anymore.
continuity.
I'm pretty sure this continuity begins, correct me if I'm wrong, begins with First Class?
Yeah,
Yep,
in the 60s.
in the 60s.
Okay. So, okay. Now, this is something else that I think me and Boo talked about. We're like, wait, how was he in the compound and all that? Because Days of Future Past happens before this, and so does First Class.
Gets
He
caught
had
at the
bone
end.
claws in Days of Future Past.
Right,
right.
which tied into the Wolverine 2 movie, right?
Now, this also brings up another problem. The end of X-Men Days of Future Past,
Yes.
Wolverine gets caught by Stryker, quote unquote, but then
Oh,
they show
yes.
a flash of the eyes and it was Mystique that was Stryker. So,
Right.
what the hell happened?
Oh, how about that part?
So,
That's
but,
right, that
but
was
in this
weird.
movie, it was really Stryker, and Mystique is saving mutants. Is like, okay, so did she just like fuck off one day? They're like, sorry, Wolverine, I'm
It's
gonna
like,
save other mutants.
You're out of
not
the
you."
Hudson Bay now.
Yeah, you're
was it
fine.
the Hudson Bay? What was he thrown in? I don't
Washington
know.
D.C. So
Whatever.
They're like,
You're out of the dirty water. You're
Honestly,
safe
yeah.
now.
I could see them being an excuse out of that, though. It's just her way of being able to instantly capture Wolverine out of the water. That's the only way I see it. For that one brief moment, she could save him and then fuck off, and Stryker just happens to resurface. Is the way I see it. I know what
I
you're saying.
guess.
It's just kind of
It
convenient.
was
more than anything.
very weird. They didn't. That was a loose end that didn't get tied.
And that's
Yeah.
one of the problems I have with Days of Future Past. And like, I thought that First Class and this new trilogy was supposed to be like a complete reboot and say forget about the first 3 movies. However, Days of Future Past, when Wolverine saved everybody or everything was saved, he went back to
The future.
no, to the mansion, right? Yeah, to
Yep.
the future, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then it was the original Jean Grey, where
Right.
he was surprised.
Right,
to see,
exactly.
Which was not supposed to happen in X-Men 3, right? And then also.
So this is an
Cyclops.
old because of what they did in Days of Future Past. They
caused
set
a new
forth a
continuity.
new
Yeah.
continuity.
So basically, so it's tying in the old trilogy, and it's also.
They
saying
do,
that-
but they don't. It's like a Star Trek thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
Yeah.
exactly the best
Yeah.
way to describe
That's
it.
actually that makes sense.
Acknowledging
in a
the
way.
previous work and then,
And then move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, moving on.
Everything's
Gotcha.
new from this point on.
Gotcha.
You gotta respect that though, because let's face it, one wouldn't be there without the other. I think it just kind of speaks for itself.
All right, so now we get into the final battle, which was a great spectacle of mutants flying all over the place and bashing each other in. What did you guys think of this spectacular scene?
I liked it. I liked Psylocke. She had a whip now. I've never seen her.
I've
with a
never
whip
seen
before.
her make a psionic whip,
So that was cool. I like
but
that.
something that Lip pointed out, because he did come to see the movie with us, even though he's not here. He pointed out that she was whipping that whip through rocks and everything like that, and then when she got it around Beast's neck, suddenly it wasn't able to like kill him. And like he said, well, maybe she was toying with him or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
could say that, but that was kind of a good point. I mean, anything you cut through rocks, you get that thing around your neck, it's probably gonna slice your skin.
Yeah, cut like butter.
Right, but that weapon that she has, it's also a sword or a whip.
Right, you could say it's a psionic weapon, and it's controlled by her mind. So you could say she controls the power of it.
Oh, I see. So that's the way of getting around it. Because I was making the argument when we watched the movie that the sword was like slicing the rocks, and then the whip is completely different, not lethal. It's just there to subdue.
Okay.
That's my maybe that's one of the logic that they're going based on for the 2 different weapons.
I don't know. I think we're reading too much into
Well,
that.
that's the problem is we have to read too much into it because they didn't build her character. They didn't tell you what her
Exactly.
powers were. We don't know as
Well,
a
we
viewer,
do because
as a new
we're
viewer.
right as a new
Yeah.
viewer. If you
we
don't know
went in
anything
there,
about
you watched
Psylocke,
all the X-Men movies up until now, you would have no idea who this woman is, why she's doing what she's doing. I don't even think they said her real name, so she's
no,
just
they never
Psylocke.
did. They
Yeah.
didn't say she was Betsy Braddock.
Yeah, and they never told you that these are psionic blades. She's a telepath. She's actually making these
Yeah.
blades with her mind.
Yes,
Yeah,
she's a bit of a telepath. She's not as powerful as Emma Frost or Jean or Xavier, but she is a little bit of a telepath.
Yeah, because she just demonstrated for Apocalypse, and that was it, right? That was her audition. And
Yeah.
then that
Well,
was
she's just like, this guy probably pays better. Almost like what it seemed like to me.
She's like a mercenary.
Yeah, she is very much like a
mercenary.
mercenary, and she's like, I bet you this guy pays better than Caliban. That's the only reasoning I have for her to join up and.
It's left ambiguous, so we all have to guess.
Anyways, yeah, and then we get some. So Evan Peters plays Quicksilver again, and he's trying to tell Magneto he's his son, but he doesn't want to tell him, and he's working with Mystique to try and get this done. That's kind of happening in the final battle, and then he never ends up doing it. And he's like, yeah,
upsetting.
I'm just, I'm concerned about my family too, and he doesn't really say that anything.
That was annoying.
I
Yeah.
felt like
it
he
was.
should have told him, but maybe it would have just ended the battle right there.
It
Oh,
could've.
I have a son, and then all the metal falls down.
It's a sudden story
End
changer,
credits.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Magneto already changed his mind like 2 seconds later afterwards, after he asked that question.
Yeah,
Like,
but it wasn't Xavier and Mystique were enough to change Magneto's mind.
Yeah.
He didn't need to know that he had a son too.
There's one thing I could say. Out of all the characters, Quicksilver, from an emotional level as well as his powers being developed over time and what we see what he's capable of, he's always been the point of interest for me in this entire series.
Once again,
Since he's been kind of.
I think I
brought
said
into
it when we were doing the our expectations. I said this Quicksilver with Evan Peters could have his own solo movie.
Yeah,
Probably,
I'd watch it.
probably will happen.
I don't know about that. Just be careful when you say that.
Yeah, they're working on.
Probably,
It
but
took them a
never.
while to make Deadpool. So.
Yeah, it's never guaranteed. I would see that.
If it was a Disney Marvel product, it would happen in a heartbeat.
They made sure to kill that.
Yeah,
pretty
they're
quick.
like,
He's
Fox
not
wants to
faster
use
than
him.
bullets.
Yeah,
I
well,
know,
bye bye.
Which is okay. That's a whole nother story right there, right?
This
Like,
one
come
here
on,
can
really?
move bullets.
Yeah.
And then the other one has no idea how to run faster
He
than a bullet.
forgot what he
so-
was able to do. Apparently.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I wanted to make a funny comment that I said to Boo the other day, because there's always one of these music montages when Quicksilver goes and saves everybody, but he's so fucking fast the time it takes us to watch what he's doing and the time that he actually does it, his song would probably only be 15 seconds in.
Yeah.
He would never finish the whole song. We get to hear the whole song because once the song's done, the montage is done and everyone's saved. But for him, in his earphones that he's listening to, he doesn't even get to hear the whole song because of how fast he would be. Just a little thing I thought about.
No, you're right.
Which kind of threw my concept out the window when I thought of him using music as a form of concentration. But how would you concentrate when
It's
the
like,
music
oh, my
goes from-
song just started.
Yeah, my song starts and then, oh, I'm about to do this.
You
Okay,
you
I
have
can't
to
rely on
turn your
music.
brain off for the physics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You really do, because there's so many options and
He
possibilities.
drinks pop out of a can, and now you have to think, okay, what speed is the pop going to go to ingest?
No,
It's like, okay,
boy.
I can't think about this too much. So
Let's enjoy the
we
movie.
have time travel, we
Man.
have whatever.
Einstein is turning in his grave.
Yeah, night crawlers, teleporting, who cares?
But we can all agree that once we had seen that scene when he had saved all the children out of the school, I love the fact that they were so creative in the different ways that he could, I think at one point I suddenly realized, oh, he's throwing them out the window. Wait a minute, when time catches up, are they not going to just fall out? But it doesn't matter, that's going to be beyond the explosion. So I love that. It was just beautifully done.
All right, realize we're running out of time so quickly. We're going to have to get into our our favorite part of the movie and our least favorite part of the movie. Now, it's not necessarily a scene in particular. It could be something, just the acting or the effects or something to that respect. So this time, Myles, you're first.
Okay, so hands down, Quicksilver. I know we're probably all going to agree, maybe.
So
I don't
that's
know.
your favorite part of
That's
the
my
movie,
favorite part
Quicksilver.
of the movie. His scene near the middle of the movie was awesome. Just to see the way he uses his powers and saves everyone, awesome. My worst part of the movie, two characters didn't get developed that should have been: Apocalypse, number one, and Psylocke, number two. They're two important people that should have been touched on more, and they weren't, and it kind of gave me the tip of a bigger iceberg, we'll say.
And Zub?
Best part of the movie was Quicksilver and also the powers that Cyclops actually unleashed.
Oh,
in
yes.
battle.
We didn't even talk about Cyclops because there's so many characters in this movie.
Yeah, but actually, that's one of the things I liked about it, because Cyclops in the previous trilogy, James Martin was kind of like a afterthought after the first one. So
Yeah.
this one,
James Marsden?
James Marsden. That's what I meant to say. James Marsden.
I
was
just
an
remembered his
afterthought.
name.
Yeah, exactly. So he was an afterthought.
This is played by
Ty
Ty Sheridan.
Ty Sheridan. Yeah, I recognize his face, but I couldn't place his name.
I liked him as Cyclops, and I really liked this look at this young Cyclops and him meeting Jean.
Yeah,
I really liked that. I liked their first time they met. Like, Cyclops was blind because he he's got lasers coming out of his eyes. He can't be.
Yeah.
He doesn't have his visor yet, so.
Right. And also the Wolverine scene was also classic, just because Wolverine's my favorite X-Men, and that's the reason why I watched the first X-Men in the first place. And the bad things about the movie, there was some gaps, and even though it's a superhero movie, there's some pretty obvious things that needed to be explained but didn't. For instance, the aircraft that came in was full of metal.
Yes.
Magneto had a magnetic field.
Yes, the
around him,
magnetic
and
fields.
Controlling
He's
things
lifting
across
all the
planet.
metal in the world, but there were some cars that didn't go. The plane was in the air. There was
plane-
metal that wasn't being affected.
That's right, and in Man of Steel, you see the anti-gravity thing mess up everything in the whole planet, so nothing can touch it. Right? And I thought that's what they were supposed to do with Magneto. That no one can touch Magneto because everything was being projected outward, and he's messing everything up. And the last part about Magneto, okay, at the end they say he was a hero and he helped save the world. He also killed a lot of people across the world.
Yeah, he did.
And he's still not going to stand trial? Really? Really? Okay, and then I'm kind of questioning my 4 out of 5.
But he
still-
helped the X-Men, so they let him go. They're just
Right.
like, we're not going to hold it against you. We're trying to save you to begin with, so...
And the thing is, Apocalypse should have... Yeah, I agree with Myles, is that he should have been more developed and also do a lot more bad shit, because at one point he was turning everyone into dust around him.
Yeah.
So why would he not need the
He was
full
more
version?
he was
just
more
turned everyone into
intimidating
dust.
than Ultron, though, I'll say that.
Well, yeah, for sure. I thought he was going to be a badass and he'd do a lot more destruction than what he did.
He
So-
did a lot better job. His plan was better than Ultron's.
A lot more successful
sure.
in damage, anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so your favorite and least favorite part, Boo.
I know I can easily say Quicksilver. I think that's more of a unanimous decision.
All right,
for
so
most part,
pick
but
something
I'm going to pick... Yes, that's what I was going to do, you jerk. Stop it. Point is, Actually,
I have a control issue.
Yeah, very much so, guys. Surprise! I actually really loved Dark Phoenix. I know everyone kind of has this feeling when all of a sudden she kind of came up on screen, but I love the fact that it was, we all know what she's capable of. We knew it was coming to that point. I wanted to see the visualization of what they meant by the Dark Phoenix, and this fact that as an actress, I have a harder time taking her as Jean, more so than I can take her as Sansa. Exactly. Yeah. I'll leave that alone, but the point is that her being very much a young actress, at her career level, I wasn't sure how I was going to take her as Phoenix or Jean either way. She comes up on screen and she just ends up with this one beautiful done scene, both cinematography as well as visual effects, whichever way you put it. I felt like the second they instantly showed Dark Phoenix, this really beautiful silhouette of a bird behind her was perfect, and then all of a sudden we start to see the killing of Apocalypse, which in my opinion is a little too convenient. But then again, brings up those questions, what happens to him later, and so on and so forth.
One of my favorite scenes.
I actually loved the way that whole scene came into about. We knew they had to defeat Apocalypse. My question was, when was Phoenix coming in and how were they going to do it? Because that was the only answer I knew in my mind. As for what I hated, I don't know if it's so much I hate. I have to admit, I kind of wanted to see more development from Quicksilver, I think is what I wanted to see. Mm-hmm. We're talking about character development here, as they didn't get quite enough screen time.
I found a lot of people...
Because Quicksilver was very much the main focus for me throughout the movie, most of the time anyway, other than Jean, personally. I felt like they could have done more with him, and the movie would have been that much better. And I still would not have been dissatisfied with all these other characters that didn't quite get the screen time that we agree deserved. They each have so much development, that they could have touched upon.
And I find everyone does.
Including the villain. The villain, in my opinion, they really had to focus on, and I get that. And by the way, I kind of feel like the only thing that I accepted throughout this whole time, as we agreed we didn't know, why they joined up with Apocalypse in the first place. We're talking about a bunch of young kids who, in themselves, don't know what they're capable of, with maybe the exception of Magneto. I'll bring him up. But he was simply said the one that was also in crisis versus the four. Maybe other than Angel. Angel just kind of felt corrupted almost immediately. He was given metal wings for crying out loud and these awesome powers. Hell yeah, I'd take them. Here comes Storm, the same respect. She's this young woman, suddenly sees this, entity in front of her to dispatch 3 guys with the wave of his hand, and then suddenly says, by the way, I can make you more powerful. She might have gotten tempted in her own way, but then suddenly realized in the end what mistake she had made. Because, remember, we had agreed, they switched his words around, tricking her.
Right.
The other two, on the other hand, I have to admit, Magneto just was one of those moments where it was, again, convenience.
So you're just saying your least favorite part is...
I already said my least favorite part. I just love the fact that it was these characters that had to be brought up in such a way.
Your least favorite part was you're saying that they weren't developed as well.
I just want to simply say Quicksilver could have gotten more screen time, and I would not have...
I think all characters could have been established better. But yes... What you guys said. The Quicksilver scene was, again, great. The music montage with Sweet Dreams playing, that was fun. The scene you're talking about, Boo, when Xavier was fighting Apocalypse in his mind, and you knew what Xavier was building up to. You knew that, Jean Grey was this ace in his pocket that he was just waiting to unleash. So when that door opened and Sophie Turner walked out in that scene, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got chills. Mm-hmm. I got goosebumps when she walked out, because I know what the Phoenix can do, and it's like, if anyone could fuck Apocalypse up, it's the Phoenix. And she really got to use it. That was so good, and that's also a part of my favorite part of the movie, is that they really played more to the comics and more to the true nature of the characters. That's what I really enjoyed. Least favorite part, like you guys said, they didn't develop characters enough. I liked seeing all these characters. I really love seeing all these characters. I found there was holes in the plot, and definitely people could have been built up a lot better, but I think we're going to see more of that in the next X-Men movie, or at least I hope so. What do you guys think of that?
You nailed it. The only thing we didn't really touch on was the end scene. Essex Corporation comes.
Which is the last name of Mr. Sinister.
Yeah.
And he comes along and takes the blood of Wolverine, planning for future plans for X-23, we presume.
Yeah. Yeah, it's already in the works. They're writing the script right now for X-23, so...
All right.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Excellent. So that should be interesting to see how this X-Men franchise goes forward. We are running out of time, so any final comments before we finish it up?
Go see it. Don't go by the Rotten Tomatoes score.
Yeah, go see it. It's actually, like I said, the second best X-Men movie. It's if you want to have fun.
According to Zubber.
It's very close to Days of Future Past to me. I think they're almost the same for me.
Well,
I would say it's fourth on my list, but
I think I did enjoy it a little more than Days of Future Past just because it had more X-Men
and it was
nostalgia in it.
yeah, and it actually stayed true to the comics, like you were saying. Like I'm not much of an X-Men fan with the comics per se, but when it comes to the cartoons and like the true origins of certain characters, it actually stayed true to that, and I saw that just by being a casual fan. So I enjoyed it, and I just wish it was a little bit longer. Maybe there'll be a director's
I don't
cut.
think it needs to be longer, but
I think there'll probably be a director's cut for DVD. That's my prediction.
there probably most
there
likely
was
will
one
be.
X-Men that was cut from the movie, Dazzler.
Oh,
It was played by Taylor Swift.
yes. She's on a record cover. I saw that Easter egg. Yeah.
What?
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
there was an Easter egg. They pulled an
They
album
cut the
when they went to the
whole
mall.
Yeah.
cut the
They
mall sequence.
the Cyclops pulls a record and it says Dazzler and it's Taylor Swift on it.
Oh
Huh.
my god.
I know. I'm glad that didn't happen.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
And Boo, final comments.
No, I think you guys touched it all, actually. I don't know, but I would definitely agree that you need to go see this movie. Just keep an open mind that they're also trying to patch up some mistakes they've done in the past while they're making new ones. That's all I can say.
I don't think-
just be
well
aware.
said. Well said.
Yeah.
I don't think they
Really
made
aware.
too many mistakes. I think if you're a comic book fan, or even if you're just an X-Men fan, you will enjoy this movie. Don't listen to Rotten Tomatoes. Go make your own opinions. I mean, you can come and listen to our reviews, and if you want to listen to what we say, that's fine. But no matter what we say, in the end, you should go to the movie and check it out yourself. So this is Jpar signing out.
Myles leaving the building.
Zuby seeing you soon.
And Boo going bye-bye.
All right, and everybody, that was our review of X-Men Apocalypse. Good night.